welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club's record departure, the player sold for the most amount of money, and then grade their direct replacements on how well they did at the club. Right, let's get on with it. Arsenal out Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, in Henrik Mkhitaryan, 6 out of 10. Yep, out of all the top quality players Arsenal have pushed out of their own letterbox, it's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain who brought in the most dosh. I remember when Liverpool paid £35 million for him back in the summer of 2017. I almost spluttered my morning cornflakes out of my bastard nose. This was a move just days after the Ox had trotted around Anfield while still an Arsenal player, showing a complete absence of motivation or basic footballing ability, forming part of an Arsenal midfield which got battered by 4 goals. Watching him unveiled in a Liverpool kit just days later must have been like a punch in the face for most of the Arsenal fan base. Anyway, the club had to wait until January to replace him, dragging in Henrik Mkhitaryan in a swap deal with Alexis Sanchez. I know you're all going to tell me that Mkhitaryan was replacing Sanchez, not the Ox, but do you really believe that? Surely Sanchez was being replaced by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Aston Villa out Christian Benteke, in Rudy Gestede, 4 out of 10. Christ, remember 5 years ago when Liverpool were actually being forced to chuck 32 million quid at Aston Villa for Christian Benteke? This was back when he could actually score a few goals instead of now, when he lumbers around the pitch like a static fridge. Honestly, that man has Chinese Super League written all over his face. But yeah, half a decade ago, he was a decent target man for Villa, and the club responded to this by replacing him with Rudy Gestede from Blackburn, who cost a measly 6 million quid. To be fair, he was also a target man who just smashed 22 goals for Blackburn the previous season, but good lord, he was championship standard. It's like someone cashing in on their Yeezys on eBay and replacing them with gluing bin bags to their feet. Gestede scored just 5 times in 32 games as Villa lay stapled to the foot of the league and got relegated. Disaster. Bournemouth out Tyrone Mings, in Lloyd Kelly, 2 out of 10. 100% without a flicker of a doubt, Lloyd Kelly was Tyrone Mings' direct replacement in Bournemouth. Last summer, Eddie Howe cashed in on his out on loan Aston Villa star, clearly deciding that he'd rather £25 million than the knuckle-dragging behemoth who jumped on skulls for a living, and he swiftly reinvested £15 million of that on Bristol City's Lloyd Kelly. Yeah, Mings has gone on to play over 20 times, scored at Old Trafford and get himself shoved in the England squad. Kelly has played just once in the Cup. Christ. Brighton out Leonardo Ulloa, in Darren Bent, 2 out of 10. It's mad to think the most amount of money Brighton have ever received for a footballer is a measly 9 million quid given to them by Leicester for the services of Leonardo Ulloa back in the summer 2014. Anyway, they expertly replaced the loss of their only source of goals by dragging in a fat Darren Bent on loan for a month. 5 games, 2 goals, with the club dropping from 5th in the championship to 20th. For Christ's sake, their top scorer that season was Lewis Dunk. Burnley out Michael Keane, in Ben Gibson, 1 out of 10. I have to give credit to Sean Dyche in Burnley. When Everton handpicked their best defender out of their backline, leaving a 30 million sized gap in their defence, the club could have panicked. Michael Keane was by far and away considered Burnley's best player at the time. Dyche could have been forgiven for spending that summer weeping under a crusty sock and wondering what he was going to do. But no, while Keane enjoyed a debut season from Hella Goodison Park, Burnley went about finishing in the top 10. Ben Gibson was eventually signed the following summer for £50 million. He's been about as much use as a chocolate teapot. 1 game, 1 goal, but also forming part of a backline that conceded 5 that day at home to Keane's team. That was over a year ago. He's essentially been shoved in the cupboard under the stairs, watching that potential England career go up in flames. Chelsea out Eden Hazard, in Christian Pulisic, 5 out of 10. Christian Pulisic is unlucky. We all know that he's a damn good player, but you really don't want to be the one replacing Eden Hazard at Stamford Bridge. The expectations he has to live up to are ridiculous. Signed on a pre-contract from Borussia Dortmund for 60 million quid, anticipating Eden Hazard's departure for Real Madrid in the summer, Pulisic has done okay. Scored 6 goals in 23 games. No, it's not Hazard type stats, but it's not bad. Crystal Palace out Aaron Wan-Bissaka, in Martin Kelly, 4 out of 10. If Crystal Palace had gotten their way, they'd have replaced the departing Aaron Wan-Bissaka with Max Aarons from Norwich. They might yet in the summer, but for now, Roy Hodgson has taken the brave option of choosing not to spend any money on a replacement for a fellow who just left a £60 million sized gaping hole in their defence. Instead, he's just chucked in Martin Kelly at right back, a bang average fullback who he not only worked with at Liverpool, but for some strange reason actually chucked him into England's Euro 2012 squad. Hodgson's strange obsession with this man is bordering on creepy. I wouldn't be surprised if he sniffs a lock of his hair every night before bed. Everton out Romelu Lukaku, in Wayne Rooney, 6 out of 10. It's funny, back in 2004, Wayne Rooney was once a club record departure from Everton, only to be replaced by James Beattie as Everton went from finishing 17th to clawing themselves into the top 4. I know, does not make an iota of sense to me either. Well, here we are in the summer 2017, and Rooney had actually been dragged in on a free from Manchester United to replace the outgoing club record departure at the time, Romelu Lukaku, packing his bags the other way in a £75 million deal. Rooney lasted 1 season and scored 11 times in 40 games. Not bad, but it was still 15 goals less than what Lukaku had managed the previous season. Leicester out Riyad Mahrez, in James Maddison, 8 out of 10. I have to say, when Riyad Mahrez stormed out of Leicester in a £60 million deal for Man City back in their summer 2018, I thought that club were done for. How in a cat's pigtail were they ever going to find an adequate replacement? Well lads, Someone find the financial advisors and scouts of that club and give them a pat on the back, because good lord, what a replacement they found. If you've just sold a £60 million rated superstar verging on world class, most clubs would scour the continent for players at top 4 clubs. Not Leicester, instead diving headfirst into the Championship, picking Maddison out of a Norwich team lying halfway down the league and chucking 20 million quid at him. The man has been an utter revelation. No, he's not quite Mahrez, but he's still pretty damn good. Liverpool, out Philippe Coutinho, in Naby Keita, 7 out of 10. Well, it is tricky because if you're talking like for like players, the Liverpool haven't really replaced Philippe Coutinho at all. They've just slightly adapted the way they play. But I suppose when you consider Liverpool cashed in on the Brazilian in January 2018, packing him off to Barcelona a £120 million deal before spending 48 million of that on Naby Keita from RB Leipzig, then yeah, I guess he's probably the official replacement. Yeah, Coutinho's departure coincided with arguably the greatest 2-year spell in Liverpool's history, but Keita, I don't know, he's been good, but maybe not the £50 million superstar everyone expected. Man City, out Kelechi Iheanacho, in Gabriel Jesus, 9 out of 10. Yep, Man City's record departures, Kelechi Iheanacho, which I'll be honest lads, seems absolutely mental. Selling one of their bench-warming subs for over £25 million to Leicester, good god. Now maybe this doesn't quite work considering Gabriel Jesus arrived 4 months before Iheanacho's departure, but still, I think we can all agree the former Palmeiras man is essentially fulfilling Iheanacho's former bench-warming role. Anyway, Jesus has scored 61 goals, 132 games. In that time, Iheanacho has managed 17 in 76. You don't get much more of an upgrade than that. Man United, out Cristiano Ronaldo, in Antonio Valencia, 7 out of 10. I almost forgot Cristiano Ronaldo commanded an £80 million transfer fee in 2009, and I almost picked Romelu Lukaku for this one. And his replacement is Odion Ighalo. Good lord. Ronaldo's replacement was similarly underwhelming, suddenly the club's best player at the peak of his powers. Manchester United were then being linked with star men from European giants littered across the globe, and then after a week of scouring, they ended up fishing for talent 10 miles down the road at Wigan, stealing away Antonio Valencia for 18 million quid. Now, while his career would be laughed out of the Ronaldo household, Valencia still turned out to be a good signing, lasting 10 years and over 250 games at Old Trafford, mostly right back. Newcastle, out Andy Carroll, in Demba Ba, 9 out of 10. Okay, there are 2 answers I could choose for this. Officially, I suppose Shefki Kuqi was Andy Carroll's immediate short-term replacement at Newcastle. The club had just flogged talismanic Geordie centre-forward to Liverpool for £35 million and replaced him with a human dishwasher. Kuqi was a lower league journeyman with less goals to his name than monthly showers. Dragging him in as a freebie replacement for Carroll must have made the Geordie fans feel like pulling out their own A-balls. If we're talking long-term replacement though, then Demba Ba hopped the sinking ship at West Ham for Newcastle on a free in the summer of 2011, smashed home 19 goals for the club as they finished 5th and reached the Europa League quarter-final. Considering this was a free transfer from a relegated club, while Carroll continued to embarrass himself on a weekly basis, then I have to say, outstanding replacement. Norwich, out James Maddison, in Todd Cantwell, 9 out of 10. You know what? While Todd Cantwell has done brilliantly this season, he has much of his career to owe to Riyad Mahrez' spoiled temperament. Had Mahrez not walked out of Leicester in such a bigger things, then James Maddison might well have stayed put at Norwich, leaving the 21-year-old Cantwell to wait in the shadows. But no, after receiving 50 million quid from Maddison, Daniel Farke plucked Cantwell out of the reserves, and 55 games and 7 goals later, Cantwell is arguably the club's best player. If he doesn't get a move back to the Premier League this summer, then something is seriously wrong. Sheffield United, out David Brooks, in Ravel Morrison, 1 out of 10. Have Sheffield United really replaced David Brooks? He's an attacking midfielder, sold for 11 million quid to Bournemouth in the summer of 2018. I mean, the closest player Chris Wilder has since signed, if we're talking similar positions, I guess Ravel Morrison, dragged in from out the back arse of Sweden on a free in the summer. He played 1 game before getting spat out on loan to Middlesbrough last month. What a complete waste of time. Southampton, out Virgil van Dijk, in Yannick Vestergaard, 6 out of 10. Yeah, pretty simple here. Southampton received £75 million from Virgil van Dijk in January 2018. 6 months later, they shelled out 12 million of that on Yannick Vestergaard from Borussia Mönchengladbach. He's no Van Dijk, but the Danish international has done quite well, scored an equaliser against Man United, but also formed part of a defence that conceded 9 in 1 match. Let's not just brush that one under the carpet. For a professional footballer, that is absolutely unforgivable. Tottenham, out Gareth Bale, in Eric Lamela, 3 out of 10. I'll be honest, when Gareth Bale tied up a £90 million move to Real Madrid in the summer of 2013, I did not expect his replacement to last 7 seasons at the club. Spurs essentially spent 1/3 of the fee they received for Bale on Lamela, a youngster who scored 15 goals for Roma during the 12-13 season. Now, on the face of it, excellent signing. Liverpool would also want to sign a left winger who just batted home 15 goals in a single season for Roma. He's since gone on to score 89 goals and be crowned champion of the world. Lamela, by contrast, 207 games, 33 goals, including a Rabona, no trophies, never scored more than 5 league goals in a single season. As a replacement for Gareth Bale, then I have to say, utter failure. Watford, out Richarlison, in Gerard Deulofeu, 8 out of 10. Well, this is pretty simple. Richarlison was sold to Everton for 40 million quid in the summer of 2018. Gerard Deulofeu was then signed on a permanent deal from Barcelona for 10 million quid. To be fair, Deulofeu has since scored 16 goals in 61 games, dragged them to an FA Cup final. Yeah, well, Richarlison is a decent player. Let's not forget he scored just 5 goals in 41 games for the Hornets. In Deulofeu's first season, he more than doubled that figure. West Ham out Dimitri Payet, in Robert Snodgrass 3 out of 10. Laughable, absolutely laughable. So you're part of the West Ham board, you reluctantly sell Dimitri Payet, your club's talisman, watching him sulk back to Marseille for £25 million in January 2017. So what do? With Payet being the man who made the Hammers tick, surely a top class replacement is needed. Not Robert Snodgrass from Hull, and especially not for £10 million. 76 games and just 9 goals later, I hope the West Ham board now realise that was sheer and utter lunacy. Wolves out Helder Costa, in Patrick Cutrone 4 out of 10. Okay, once Helder Costa makes his loan move to Leeds permanent in the summer, I guess he will become the club's £15 million club record sale. Patrick Cutrone arrived from AC Milan in the summer, didn't settle, and is now being spat back to Italy on loan via Fiorentina. What a complete waste of time. Anyway, that's the end of the video, lads. What do you think? Are you pleased with the player you signed to replace your club record departure? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share and subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.